It was a regular Wednesday night, nothing unusual. I'd just finished dinner and, like I always did, I got up to take out the trash to the garage. No music, no eerie feeling, no cinematic foreshadowing to warn me that my entire life was about to fall off a cliff. Then I heard her voice. Sabrina. My wife. She was sitting in the car, windows rolled up, dome light on, just bright enough to catch the outline of her face through the glass. Her voice came through, clear as a knife through skin. I married the wrong man. Nelson's just average. Looks, career, even in bed. I should have married James. I froze, like someone had wrapped both hands around my lungs and squeezed. James, the ex she swore she had buried, the one who was just a phase. Now he was the one that got away? Then I heard her sister, Pamela, burst out laughing. So what? Ride out the mortgage, then upgrade? Simple. I stood there, trash bag in hand, unable to move, like someone had taken a sledgehammer to my chest. I don't remember how I got out of that garage. I just know that later that night, when Sabrina smiled at me and asked, "How was your day, babe?" I smiled back and lied. 2 weeks after that night in the garage, I'd learned something. You never really know who you're sleeping next to. Sabrina kept smiling, kept calling me honey, kept putting my favorite meals on the table. But me? I wasn't me anymore. I became a stranger inside my own marriage, a shadow gliding silently through a house that once felt like home. I started watching her, not as a husband, as an investigator tracking a betrayal. Sabrina always kept her phone face down. She suddenly started working late, twice a week. Every time a message pinged, she'd smile. That soft little smile I used to think was just for me. Then instantly delete the message. I'm not proud of what I did next. But one night, while she was in the shower, I guessed her passcode. 3 tries. It was the name of the street she grew up on. And there it was. James. Dozens of messages, months worth, no nudes, no explicit talk, just line after line of longing, regret, and a version of her I hadn't seen in years. If I had chosen you, I still think about you. Coffee tomorrow morning? Those were just a few of the messages. And then I found it, a separate bank account in Sabrina's name. Over $20,000, secretly stashed away over the past year. The feeling of discovering that the person who holds you at night has been saving to leave you? It's not anger. It's not sadness. It's cold. Cold, like metal, like stone, like death. I didn't yell, didn't confront her, didn't cry. Instead, I made a plan. I took screenshots, called Dennis, my best friend since sophomore year, asked to crash at his spare room. I contacted a lawyer, quietly started the asset split, changed the passwords on our joint accounts. I named the new folder in my notes app, Exit Strategy. And when I came home that night, I smiled. I sat down for dinner. I asked about her day. I kissed her forehead and whispered goodnight like always. But every night, while Sabrina slept beside me, peaceful, I stared at the ceiling, hearing her words echo like a haunting whisper. You're average. I should have picked James. I don't know what hurt more, those exact words, or realizing she was right. Not because I was average, but because I let myself live like I was. Day 13. After that night in the garage. This time I didn't just read the messages. I followed her. She said she was working late again, but I watched with my own eyes as she pulled into a high-end restaurant, got out, and walked straight into his arms. James, polished from wristwatch to shoes. Their hug lasted too long to be friendly. Then he kissed her cheek, the kind of kiss that doesn't need words. I didn't need more proof. I'd seen enough. That night, Sabrina came home and told me about a boring team meeting. Sounds rough. Go shower. I'll take care of the dishes. Then I walked into the bathroom, locked the door, sat down on the cold tile floor. No tears, no rage, just nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just an empty kind of clarity. I pulled out my phone. Checked the checklist one final time. New bank account, done. Passwords changed, everywhere. Assets documented and divided. Lawyer appointment booked for next week. Dennis, room ready. I was set. Day 14, 6:00 a.m. Sabrina was still asleep. Her eyelids twitched like she was dreaming, probably of a life I was no longer part of. I looked at her face one last time. Then I walked downstairs. I took only 3 things, 3 duffel bags, just enough to live. A small wooden box holding my wedding ring. I left it on the kitchen counter. And the keys to my car, the one thing I'd use to drive out of her life for good. No note, no goodbye, just silence. Clear, brutal silence. 2:14 p.m. Missed call, Sabrina. 2:15 p.m. Text, where are you? The car's gone. 3:46 p.m. Are you okay? Please, say something. 4:16 p.m. Voicemail. Please, just let me know you're alive. I read them all, but I didn't reply. Until midnight. One text. I'm safe. Don't contact me. Then I shut off the phone. For 60 days after I left, I didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't send revenge texts. I did one thing. I took control. Day 1, I froze our joint accounts, moved exactly 50% into my new account. No more, no less. Called the bank. Had them flag the file. In separation process. At that same moment, Sabrina's picture-perfect life began to crack. Day 3. She discovered the freeze. She texted, "What's going on? What did you do with our money?" I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a P.O. box, redirected all mail, locked down every shred of personal data. Every thread she could pull vanished. Day 7. I installed hidden cameras inside the house. Still the legal owner, after all. Footage showed James walking in, bottle of wine in hand. Sabrina crying, James hugging her. Then, they disappeared into the bedroom. No more suspicions, only evidence. I downloaded the video, saved 2 copies, one on the cloud, one on a USB, hidden. Day 12. Camera caught Pamela, her sister, sitting in my living room, drinking the wine I had saved from our anniversary. Sabrina poured her a glass and started spinning her tale. Seth just broke. He was depressed. Then he just left. The narrative was being crafted. I was the sad, fragile man who walked away. I watched her lie, watched her become the victim in her own story. And I smiled. Because she had no idea. I was still watching. Day 30. I ran into Kyle, an old friend, our neighbor, at the grocery store. He gave me that cautious look people give when they've heard only one side of a story. Seth, hey man, you okay? Sabrina said you kinda disappeared. Mental health crisis or something? I looked him dead in the eye. Calm, steady. I didn't disappear. I walked away after finding out my wife was cheating on me. With her ex. He froze, mouth slightly open. And in that moment I knew the real story would start to spread. Day 35. My hidden camera caught Sabrina hurling her phone across the room. She screamed into the screen, "Seth told people I cheated? That fing bastard!" My silence, after all this time, was finally speaking for me. Day 47. Sabrina was served divorce papers. She came home, slammed the packet onto the table, and cried, 45 minutes straight, loud, messy, gut-wrenching. And me? I didn't feel a thing. No pity, no satisfaction. Just a deep, final confirmation. I was no longer the victim. I was the one in control. Silence is the weapon of the intelligent. It lets the guilty unravel. It forces the truth out of hiding without ever raising your voice. Day 60. Exactly 2 months since I walked out of the house we once called home. That day I arrived at the cafe 30 minutes early. Chose the last seat in the back corner, facing the room. Not out of fear, but because I've learned to stay aware. Stay steady. Stay in control. Sabrina walked in at 1:58 p.m. 2 minutes early. No makeup, no polished outfit. Just a woman who'd lost everything and was now picking through the rubble. The conversation lasted 40 minutes. No begging, no tears, just raw, overdue honesty. She talked about the sleepless nights, How James disappeared the moment her bank account dried up. How she now realized her biggest mistake wasn't marrying me. It was underestimating me. I didn't say much. I simply placed a folder on the table. Inside, printed screenshots, bank statements, and the recording from the garage. Her voice echoed back. I married a basic man, with a basic life and basic everything. She bowed her head, didn't say a word. At the end, she handed me a small box. Inside was my grandfather's vintage watch, something I had forgotten in the chaos. She'd polished it, replaced the strap. I know I don't deserve a second chance, she said quietly. But this belongs to you, because you were worth more than I ever gave you credit for. I nodded, not in forgiveness, but as a quiet closing of the book. 1 month later, I signed the papers to sell the house. We lost $32,000 on the sale. Split the debt down the middle. Clean, fair, final. I moved to a different city, smaller. No one here knows my name. No memories waiting to slap me in the face every time I turn a corner. I started taking photos, signed up for a weekend art class. And every morning, I sit on my tiny balcony, hot coffee in hand, watching the rush of strangers living lives I'll never know. At night, sometimes I still hear that voice in my head. You're just an average man. But now, I know that's not true. It was never true. That was just the voice of someone who wasn't good enough to stay beside me. In the end, I didn't get some grand finale. No dramatic love story in the rain. No epiphany under fireworks. Just a quiet man, living a quiet life. Steady, full, and entirely my own. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't watching them fall apart, it's simply getting better. Quietly. Have you ever felt invisible in your own home? Ever been told, directly or not, that you weren't enough? If this story touched something inside you, even a little, drop a comment below. Let me know you're out there, and if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit subscribe, share it. Because somewhere out there, someone just like you might need to hear this to realize they're not alone. Thank you for listening to my story.